Today, we will be exploring the fascinating realm of the top 7 most extravagantly wealthy drug dealers of all time. Welcome to Luxspensive, where premium content converges with remarkable individuals. Despite the majority striving to uphold the law, the alluring domain of drug trafficking proves too irresistible for some. Consequently, a chosen few have ascended to the ranks of drug lords, amassing fortunes in the billions. Stay tuned until the conclusion to discover the individual who once illuminated $2 million in cash to provide warmth for his daughter. At number 7 on this list is Gilberto Rodriguez Orihuela and his brother Miguel. These two individuals achieved renown as leaders of the Cali cartel, named after its location in the Colombian city of Santiago de Cali. They amassed their wealth primarily through marijuana trafficking in the 1970s and cocaine trade in the 1980s, commanding 80% of the American market and 90% of the European market at one point. Instead of resorting to violence against their enemies, the Orihuelas distinguished themselves by frequently employing bribes to achieve their objectives. Upon their arrest by Colombian authorities in the year 1995 and subsequent extradition to the United States, they both chose to plead guilty. In exchange, they received 30-year prison sentences, while 29 of their family members were granted full immunity. Consequently, the Orihuelas remain incarcerated in U.S. prisons and are not slated for release until the year 2030. Occupying the 6th position on this list is Jose Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, who, despite humble beginnings as the son of pig farmers, aligned himself with drug lords in the early 1970s, eventually rising to leadership in the infamous Medellin cartel. Accumulating approximately $5 billion in assets throughout the 1980s, he faced numerous enemies from rival cartels and the scrutiny of Colombian and American authorities. His life came to a dramatic end on December 15, 1989, when he was fatally shot by police at the age of 42. Claiming the 5th spot is drug kingpin Kun Sa, originally a soldier who served with both the Chinese Republican and Burmese armies in his youth. During the 1960s, he established his private army, the Ka Kwe Ye, or Home Guard Unit, using it to smuggle opium from the Golden Triangle between Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. Despite being the region's opium king from the years 1976 to 1996, Sa's influence waned, leading him to surrender to the Burmese government in January of 1996 in exchange for avoiding jail time. Settling in Yangon, Myanmar, he lived a quiet yet luxurious life on the $5 billion he had acquired until his death in the year 2007. At the 4th position on our list, we have Jorge Luis Ochoa Vasquez and his brothers. Now, the Ochoa brothers stand apart for actually being part of a cartel that will feature a little farther down the line. That's because they were leaders in the infamous Medellin cartel in Colombia, which was founded by the oldest brother, Jorge, in the mid-1970s. By the year 1984, their power was so grounded that the cartel made a public announcement that each Colombian extradition of a member of their cartel would result in 10 murdered Colombian judges. However, after the Colombian president, Cesar Gaviria Trujillo, offered drug traffickers reduced prison sentences to be served in Colombia in order to entice them to surrender, Jorge ended up doing so. As such, he served a 5.5-year prison sentence for drug trafficking before being released in July of the year 1996. As a result, Jorge now stands apart for being the only true free man on this list. Like what you see so far, hit the like button, do it now. It really helps the channel, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive more enriching video content. Number 3 on our list is Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar. While India may not be widely known to be a site for major drug trafficking, it turns out that it most certainly is. That's because the Mumbai-based criminal syndicate known as D Company is currently one of the largest cartels in the world. It reportedly operates in India, South Asia, Africa, the UK, Western Europe, and the Middle East, while sharing similar networks with Al-Qaeda. As a result, Kaskar was formerly one of the 10 most wanted men in the world, as he has been charged with international crimes for terrorism, drug trafficking, extortion, murder, and targeted killing. However, due to him currently living in either Pakistan or Afghanistan and using a courier-based money transfer system known as Hawala to make his cash virtually untraceable, both he and his $6.7 billion in assets likely will not be seized anytime soon. Yet, suppose you do manage to give the police information leading to his arrest. In that case, you could be in for a cool $25 million payday. At number 2 on our list is Amado Carrillo Fuentes, often known as the Lord of the Skies, due to his method of transporting cocaine using his huge fleet of jets. He began his rise to fame when he viciously took over the Mexican-based Juarez cartel by assassinating his boss. From there, he brought the operation to new heights, as despite coming from a poor family, he employed his relatives as employees to make a family-bound drug empire. However, his ultimate demise came in a way you might not expect. You see, due to the authorities beginning to crack down on his activities, Fuentes chose to undergo facial plastic surgery and abdominal surgery liposuction to change his appearance on July 4, 1997. However, the operation would ultimately fail, and Fuentes would die due to surgical complications. And while the surgeons would later go on to be tortured and killed by the cartel, this didn't change the fact that Fuentes would ultimately never get to spend the modern equivalent of $25 billion that he left behind. And finally, the man who takes the number 1 spot is the one and only Pablo Escobar. Now, we think you'd agree that Escobar's addition to this list isn't all that surprising. After all, anyone who watched the insanely popular television drama Narcos knows that he had an insane net worth and that he was easily one of the biggest drug kingpins in modern history. Now, Escobar's claim to fame was that his Medellin cartel not only managed to ship out 70 to 80 tons of cocaine from his home country of Colombia to the United States per month, but that throughout much of the 1980s and 90s, his cartel was responsible for about 80% of the global cocaine trade. However, in order to keep up this monopoly, he often had to use dirty tactics at home, and was known to order the assassinations and massacres of politicians and law enforcement officials. Yet, despite this, he was able to keep up a positive image by giving back to the community, as he was known for building soccer fields and houses in the areas under his control. And in fact, he eventually became so rich that at one point, he reportedly lit a fire using $2 million in cash when his daughter became ill with hypothermia. Regardless, his reign couldn't last forever. That's because despite amassing a net worth that is the equivalent to about $30 billion at today's exchange rates, he was eventually cornered by Colombian officials on December 2nd of 1993, with many believing that he ultimately died via a self-inflicted gunshot to the ear. So, which drug dealer did you think was the most notorious? Let us know in the comments section. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive more videos. See you in our next video.